In this tutorial, I take you step by step on how to draw a seashell. Drawing and painting shells is a great way to enhance your artist skills if you are trying to practice values, shading, and texture. In the first step, we're going to create guidelines to help us draw the seashell. So roughly sketch a guide vertically in the center of your page. Now sketch a horizontal bottom guide about an inch from the bottom of your page. Next, sketch side guides on either side of the center guide. A scallop shell fans out, so your side guides should roughly be at a 45-degree angle. I usually like to begin with the HB pencil to sketch the overall shape and outline of the subject and its location on the page. This way, I have a really light line that's easy to erase if I want to change something. With our guide drawn, we can start sketching a rough shape for our seashell. Draw a rounded edge like a half circle on the top part of the guides. Start drawing from one side to the other. Next, sketch vertical lines on the bottom half of the side guides. Add these vertical lines 1/3 of the way from the center guide. These lines will form the wing of the seashell. Lastly, sketch the rib lines for the seashell. Start on the bottom guide with each line branching out towards the rounded edge at an angle. These lines will help us create the ribs and wavy edge of the seashell. We're going to outline our seashell sketch next. Starting at the top, draw a wavy edge for the half circle by the rib lines. Continue with the outline on the side guides. Next, draw wavy edges for the wing of the seashell. At this point, you can erase all of the guidelines and lighten the line drawing by tapping it lightly with a kneaded eraser. Now let's jump right into shading stage. Fill the entire shell to a medium value with hatching made with the tip of the pencil. To help create a more realistic looking texture, radiate the hatching out from the bottom center of the shell in the same direction as its ridges. Contour lines around the subject are used for a cartoon style drawing. So while you're creating this first layer of graphite, try to match the value of the contours with the value of the shading on the surface. Start by lightly shading in the darkest values of the shell with your HB graphite pencil. Make sure that your pencil is sharp. At this point, you only want to focus on the darkest areas of the shell. By using your HB pencil, you will be able to start adding value but not making it too dark. This is just the first step. You will be adding many layers of graphite to create a smooth value change from light to dark. Do not press too hard on the drawing surface. If you press too hard, you will damage the drawing surface, making soft value changes impossible. Draw darker values by drawing on top of the same layer that has been drawn, not by pressing hard. If a line is too dark, tap it lightly with the kneaded eraser. Still using the HB pencil, continue to draw in where the darkest values are on the seashell. At this point, you are only mapping out where the dark values are. Do not go too dark. It is easier to add value than to remove the value. Working from right to left, continue drawing where the darkest values are. Pay close attention to the placement of your lines. If you need to adjust a line, simply erase the line that is incorrect. To keep from smudging your paper, put a separate sheet of paper or a tissue under your drawing hand. Make the ridges wider near the upper edge of the shell and taper them thinner as they merge at the center bottom. Then use the sharp point of the pencil to draw the lines of the shadows beside the ridges and along the bottom edge of the shell. Be cautious of the value changes and continue to compare your drawing with the reference image. Now I go around shell and add shadows and texture to the surface of the shell using my 2B pencil. Most of the ridges curve slightly to the left or right. So use pencil as a straight edge and sighting tool to see those curves so you could mimic them. So squint your eyes so you could take a look at the overall shadow pattern. Create more realistic looking details by drawing hard and soft edges. Hard edges end abruptly and soft edges taper off in a gradation. For realism drawing, you will not want space between the lines. Always use a sharp pencil. After sharpening your pencil, wipe off the graphite dust with a paper towel. Using a stick eraser, lift out the main highlights of the shell's ridges. Draw the lighter strokes that are found on the shell. The major highlight and shadow shapes were blocked in. At this point, you should be finished mapping out all of the dark values of the seashell. Now you will be using an HB and the 3B graphite pencil to add the values of the seashell. I like to start with my 3B pencil when I create patterns on the shell, being careful to follow the natural curve. Darken the lines that indicate how the shell curves. Add the special characteristics that you see on the shell's surface. Your lines don't all have to be the same width and length. Try to vary their thickness or use interrupted lines to create interesting variations. This will make your drawings livelier and more natural. I pay special attention to its structure, adding the bumps and irregularities that it has. I can give each bump a three-dimensional appearance by lightly shading the grooves between them. This subtle blending creates the transitions between the tones of black to gray to light gray that will make the shells look as if they're actually sitting on the page. For now, you want to use all of the value that a pencil grade has to offer before moving to the next grade. This method takes longer to finish, but you will not have any imperfections or white spots of paper that the graphite did not reach. If the lid is too soft, it will not reach the valleys of the paper, leaving little white dots. It gives it a gritty look. Using the harder lead pencils and layering with the softer lead pencils will prevent the gritty look, making your drawing look like a photograph. Continue adding values from dark to light with your HB and 3B pencil. At the center of the shell, soften the edges of the rich highlights and darken some detail areas in a smudgy and indistinct way. With a flat paintbrush, I smooth out the shading I applied to push the graphite into the pores of the paper and brush it along the edge. Finally, erase the lightest highlights across the highest part of the shell at the middle. To complete my drawing, I use a 6B pencil and go over the shell, adding any tiny details I can see. I also add darker values with this 6B pencil. This helps increase the contrast of the drawing, making it look more three-dimensional. Near the bottom of the shell, use a sharp pencil tip with medium pressure to draw the dark shadows cast by the ridges. Darken the details of the ridges near the bottom of the shell and make the shell's edge uneven and scalloped. Add arcing details across the middle fan of the shell. I think shells look great as pencil drawings. These black and white sketches are fun and a great way to practice value and texture studies because you can create contrast by varying the type of pencil you use or the amount of pressure you apply. Plus, it doesn't require any real setup. All you need is a sketchbook, pencils, and an eraser. These little ocean treasures make really cool drawings and are one of my favorite things to draw in my sketchbook. They come in so many different shapes with lots of character. And that's it for this tutorial. Thank you for following this tutorial. I'm glad you made it this far. I hope this tutorial was helpful and easy to follow. Let me know which other tutorial you'd like to see on Peonypaint, and I'll do my best to bring them to you. Until next time, and happy drawing!